Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Snow Queen event in which the Daughter of Ice is added to the game. But before we do, I have a billion things to go over real quick. For one, you may notice that the audio is a little bit different. I am using an extremely weird setup right now as I am still on my trip, where I'm basically just using a webcam as the mic, which is why the audio sounds like this. A weird kind of like mobile keyboard thing that is way too small to type on, and the pad on my laptop because I don't have any mouse. So hopefully this will work out, it should. But anyways, other than that, we are likely getting version 4.4 this week. Again, I'll be on my trip, so I can't really cover it extensively with streams and stuff, but I will once I get back later this Friday. But for now, if it does end up coming out, which it should probably later today or tomorrow on Tuesday, I'll just cover a quick video just going over like the patch notes and stuff, and then once I get back, I'll be able to actually cover it extensively, going into detail into everything else. And other than that, I believe that was most of the things, unless I'm forgetting something. But anyways, let's get into this event already. So, as far as the Daughter of Ice, it is not useless. As far as its trait stone, kind of. You put it into Drake Rider and Rock Spirit earlier on in the game, and later on in the game, you'd put it into Daughter of Ice herself, as well as Glaceon. As far as this troop, it is pretty much just a standard Empower into a Convert a color. It has an Empowered into Convert all reds to blues. One really nice aspect that this has that none of the other ones actually currently have as far as the Empower into Instant Convert is it does get to create a storm, and not just any storm, a storm of the color that it actually converts into. This actually makes it better than Skady, which is a mythic, so that's a good thing. So now if you actually want Perpetual Blue Storm, well, it's not exactly Perpetual, it's pretty much the same thing. You can cast it on turn 1, and you're almost always going to have a constant Blue Storm if you end up using this thing. So, yeah, we'll have that covered now for brown, since Skady didn't previously cover that color, and now we'll be able to still get a burst of blue into that instead of needing some kind of other exploder with it. So this should have a lot of purposes. I'll probably cover a whole video, or at least go over on stream quite a bit later on, though I will be showing at least one team for this video. But basically, just like all the other Empowers, you basically just feed it to get a lot of whatever that mana is. In this case, it is a lot of blues. Taloka is probably one of the most noteworthy ones, where feeding it a bunch of quick yellow off of Mercy isn't as good compared to feeding it a bunch of blue. And there are a few other instances like Queen Mab and, you know, anything that's going to be extremely blue dependent, obviously. Next thing, as far as event objectives, this is probably the last week ever where we're going to see these green gems. This is because it's going to be replaced with a new format starting next patch. We also still have all the other like little things, but the daily tasks and these green gems, this is probably the last time we will be seeing them this week. So yeah, say goodbye to them soon. But assuming this is still around later this week, I believe it will be at least for this week, and then it stops. You might want to get it done just in case, like right now, just in case it's not around later in the week. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with that, if the patch is rolling out. But anyways, you have to kill enemies in red or red in PvP or Explorer. Obviously, the easiest way to do this would to go to any kingdom that has a lot of red, either based on whichever one you need to trade stone in, or something like Pride Land, which has a lot of red. But anyways, a lot of red. Just go with a quick kill team and get that done in about an hour or two in Explorer. Other than that, we have ourselves 10% to all of the elementals and 10% to all beasts for a little bit of bonuses there. And while it's not that relevant, you also get 2 times the trait stones for using Daughter of Ice. Though given that she's already a pretty good troop, at least getting some kind of bonus for that is not too bad. As far as event key drop table, it is somewhat underwhelming. The Kingdom of Glacial Peaks did end up reaching 10 stars. This time around. I believe you can actually reach up to 12, however you would need to get the Doom upgraded, which I don't necessarily want to do, but just because it will cost 2 blue orbs based on how far I currently have it upgraded, and it's probably not worth it just to have a little bit of higher tribute there, but at least it can reach 10 stars now without needing to do that, and that will give you 1 additional armor if you happen to have Skady and happen to have all the other requirements up to that point. As far as the event key drop table though, it's probably a week that you might want to skip. There is a unique new legend in it. However, it's not really used for that much, and most of the other drops are not going to get you that far. Borealis is generally pretty average. Queen Mab these days is pretty underwhelming, other than the fact that she's one of the best freezers, if not the best freezer in the entire game. And of course, the only other thing that is decent is the new troop that ends up just coming in. We end up getting Frost Feather. It deals a full AoE to all enemies, no kind of board control or anything. And if there's an Ice Storm, it gets to curse all enemies. Not sure why that's not 100% chance, but if there's Ice Storm, it also gets to curse. The biggest purpose that this will actually have is you kill it with Elspeth. That will then freeze all enemies. You put that into a Justice, and you kind of use it kind of like how you would use Elspeth into Death Knight Hero class into the Sacrifice Guardian. You basically do the same exact premise with Elspeth into Frost Feather, into Justice, and obviously in the case of Justice, that is a much better option since you can feed a lot of HP and attack, and just try killing them out off the gigantic boost ratio you get from the 4x freeze that you get to place by simply killing it out with Elspeth. And killing it with Elspeth does count as instantly killing it and will trigger that trait. And that's probably the only thing it's really going to be used for. It's a rather average legend otherwise. But for the most part, I would say unless you specifically want to get that new legend, there isn't really much in this kingdom worth going for. And Skady's a rather underwhelming mythic. Anyways, next order of business. We have Guild Wars this week. Guild Wars plays out the same as always. As far as all the events we have this week, you may notice, well, it kind of shows a pet here, but it keeps showing an empty icon. We should be getting a 4th of July pet this Wednesday, or, Independence Day pet. It looks like they're going to be doing a new one. It's going to be like some kind of rocket thing, which is why the asset is blank. I think they might have forgotten to add it to the game, that or it's coming in next patch, which is like in a day or so, so maybe they'll update the graphic thing then. But it does look like they are not going to be repeating last year's 4th of July pet. It looks like it's going to be a completely new one this time around. So instead of being the Eagle, well, Nintendo Switch will have Eagle, but all other versions, it looks like it's getting some kind of rocket thing. They're all cosmetic, so that won't really make much of a difference, that they're not really repeating them for the most part. However, I'm not sure how they expect us to get them maxed if we weren't able to get them again, so that's still kind of weird. They're still looking into that, but it might become like a whole weapons thing all over again, that all these old event pets, even though they're fully cosmetic and completely pointless, may be unobtainable for a while, so we'll see what they do with that. But anyways, other than that, we have Primal Rift for Tuesday. Wednesday, of course, is the 4th of July pet, as I mentioned, even though it's on the 3rd. Frost Mage is on this Thursday. It's basically a weaker version of Tidecaller, but it has better freeze options. It doesn't have as good of a synergy with its own kingdom, though. And this Friday, we are getting two things. A new Mythic, and assuming next patch comes in, I believe we're finally getting that Harpy faction. The one that was supposed to come like around 2 weeks ago, but instead we had a Vault event. But then we're going to just have the Harpy event for that probably this Friday. I'm not sure if that's 100% in stone, but it does look like what's happening. Mythic and new faction this Friday. So, Soulforge, of course, we now have weapons here to go over now, too, but as far as the troops, there's one really obvious good one, Ferris Ra. This was the first mythic I crafted on my Nintendo Switch account, and it was definitely worth it. It's one of those good mythics that even if you craft it and accidentally get a second copy of it, you don't really feel bad, because getting multiple copies of this thing is actually good, because of its 150% soul bonus, and that bonus does stack. If you happen to have another Ferris Ra, or if you don't, it stacks with 50% necromancies as well. But yeah, he just gets a lot of souls off his ability, off his traits. He gets half the capacity off his ability, and he ends up even having a convert, which is always good to try to get those extra turns. And yeah, just overall, a really great farming troop for specifically souls. And other than that, nothing else really too noteworthy to go and craft as far as mythics are concerned, except maybe Megavore, I guess. Megavore is a 4x armor tier. It gets enough true damage to almost kill an enemy. In some contexts it will kill. It depends where you're using it, what level range and all that. But its most noteworthy thing, it has impervious into 8% instant kill, and has really good extra turn value between its 2 HP every extra turn and 8% instant kill. The biggest issue with it is it's extremely it's inconsistent, and it also has a really low durability. I believe it's actually one of the lowest durabilities of any mythic. I think War might be the only thing that has a lower overall durability, because the higher their attack, the lower their HP armor. And yeah, it's one of the absolute lowest as far as a mythic is concerned, which is one of his biggest weak points. But there are 3 weapons that you might not currently have that you might want to craft. First one we have here is Silent Knight. This also shows us how expensive epic weapons are going to be. We basically know how expensive all the weapons will be now, except for the ultra rare weapons, though there are very few old ultra rare weapons, and they will obviously be cheaper than what the epics are, so they shouldn't be too bad. But now we know how much the epics and the Doom weapons will now cost. The Doom ones didn't seem nearly as high as we would have really expected. However, the epic ones do seem to be slightly higher than I was kind of expecting them to be. This epic weapon, as you can see, 75 diamonds, 3,000 souls, 300 of the purple jewel thing, and 3 celestial trait stones, which, as I mentioned, is a bit higher than I thought they'd be. However, still not too bad. Silent Knight, one of the first weapons that ever came into the game. I believe second event weapon that ever came into the game. They've offered it a few times for free throughout the times. I think they even sold it for $5 at a couple points. but it's nothing too special. I believe it has double silence because it's silence off of its perk too. It's a pretty underwhelming weapon though. It's very, very dated because obviously it came out as the second weapon ever, like 4.5 years ago. So it's mainly just for collection purposes more so than anything. Next we have Glacial Crystal, which of these three is probably the most noteworthy, though still useless. It ends up dealing some damage to a Glacial Peak or to a enemy, and it's just boost ratioed based on Glacial Peaks. Just a standard double mana generator based on a typing kind of weapon. There's many of these in this game. Glacial Peak bonus is not really that good. There is very, very little synergy within the Kingdom of Glacial Peaks. So overall, pretty bad weapon. However, of these three, it is the most noteworthy of the three, even though it's completely useless. And now, as I mentioned, we also know how much a Doom weapon costs. And this one, I was not. We were kind of expecting to be a bit more than this. But it's actually not too bad because the normal Doom weapon would normally cost 800 diamonds, and this one is 900. So not much of a difference there. I forgot how much the soul and other few things are as far as the difference there, but I'm pretty sure it was 8, 2,000, 50,000. So that's not too much of an increase, and the diamonds were only increased by 100. So overall, not too bad. I was expecting that to be at least 1,000, if not even more than that. But yeah, this is what all Doom weapons will cost. This Doom weapon is 100% pointless. However, of course, if you want it for collection purposes, it is there. So those are the three weapons. Doom Statue, Glacial Crystal, and Silent Knight. Get them now, otherwise you won't be able to get them for like another 6 or 7 months until they rotate back around. But at least they're now finally re-obtainable again, if nothing else. But yes, those are the three craftable ones, and of them, Glacial Crystal is the most useful. Anyways, next thing, let's go over 1.5 billion teams. No, not that many, but just want to go over a few real quick. Is that a real team? Real enough. Let's see. So, if I go all the way to the bottom here, two things I want to go show. Of course, it's Tuesday, Primal Rift. While I'll personally be running for the free battles, or, just to get all the rewards, I'll be running Mountain Crusher Apothecary Double Catchable. It is a green, purple restriction as for the Primal Rift. As far as other options that you can end up using, one of the things that is about as cheap as you can get is go Mang, Apothecary, into Skull Spam. That's probably going to be your best bet if you happen to have options for that. Obviously, purple-related Skull Spams, ideally purple-brown ones like Keeper of Souls, ends up working out really well. You just throw down a Mang, Apothecary to get all your manas, and then Keeper of Soul them down, and just keep one-shotting basically everything down, and that's the other premise you can run with. But that is pretty much what I'm going to be doing, running it with Shaman, get Mountain Crusher down, Catcher's dead, and just keep repeating that. And that's the way I'm going to go down with it. You can also do somewhat similar with Tina and stuff if you happen to have it. However, it does work slightly quicker with Catcher's the Bull if you do have that mythic. As far as the Frost Mage, again, there's very, very few options. You're stuck to Glacial Peak Fae, which is not that many. If you have Dawnbringer into Daughter of Ice, you can just spam 3 of them and just keep spamming the Dawnbringers. Other than that, another option that you can end up going for is going into, what's it called? Any blue weapon that ends up having a high damage output, and just go with Daughter of Ice and just put some support troops from the team or from the kingdom. But there really is not too many as far as options that we have here. We only have the Fae specifically from Glacial Peaks, which I believe is like 8 troops or so, which gives almost no option. This is one of the reasons why the Tide Color Hero class is so much better than Frost Mage. This is what Frost Mage currently has to work with, and it is not much whatsoever. Queen Map doesn't really help much. Winter Knight's just a shield. Snow Sprite's useless. Frost Archer is basically useless. Freya, I guess you could use for Dawnbringer boost ratio. Snow Guardian, I guess you could use this because it covers some colors that the other ones don't. Skaty's rather useless, and then you got Daughter of Ice. So might as well just go all Daughter of Ice into a decent blue weapon. That's about as good as you're going to get for that based on options. But now, let's actually get into some teams. So there's 2 of them that I want to show off. One that is actually probably really good. The other, which is kind of really average, though I didn't have too much time to team build. But I will be going over Daughter of Ice probably a little bit more into the week because I feel like she has a lot of potential. I just haven't really had the time to mess with her much yet. But this one I feel like does actually work because this was something I was thinking about before this thing even came out. And I believe this could theoretically have some potential. It's basically like what the whole, what I was explaining earlier in the video. It's basically like what, that is not what I meant to take. No, but it's basically like what the Death Knight combo used to be. So you throw this into this, you then get a 4 times freeze, ideally, assuming they're all freezable. You then get the last of your blue mana if you didn't already get it for your Justice. You then spam your Justice like crazy, getting a gigantic boost ratio. We can feed this into another mana too. Normally I would do it into Doom Skulls, however, we don't have any here, so let's do it into red. We do have Catches the Bull here. He does boost ratio off of HP and attack for his damage, which is both the two things that we end up getting from using Justice. So right here we will go for those Doom Skulls. Even if our first slot dies, it dies. Not too big a deal. And apparently it's going to die because that was a gigantic miss right there. But we'll go take that, get Catchers all the way to full. Grab herself what looks like another Catchers. Unfortunately, is stealthy. So you know what? I'm actually going to have to... okay. No, don't add... What are you doing? We're supposed to kill. Okay, well, what's plan B? We'll move that. Get a skull hit there. Stop agiling! Fine, we'll kill you with this ability then. Wait, is there another option? Let me take that first. I'm not going to bother taking another skull. Well, there isn't even one. But we'll do that just to get rid of him. Oh, no, he's just going to summon in that location now. No! I completely defeated the boy at yelling him. And of course he gets a baby dragon. Can you just stop doing everything? Okay, let's just throw Catchers at him. We'll throw it right there. Obviously that does a ridiculous amount of damage because of all the HP and attack boost ratio. That's one of the whole premises of running it like that. We'll throw this down. Throw a blue over. Unfortunately, all the freezes have kind of gone away at this point. So now it's just like a normal Justice. But we'll still do that. Catches is obviously gigantic still from the buffs that we keep giving it. Every single cast just keeps increasing its damage. And of course, we keep stacking its attack and HP for our first slot. And everything other than Justice as well every single time we cast. That's basically the premise of that team. I still don't think it's going to become meta or anything. But at least it's better than the Death Knight option that we had. So if nothing else, it's that. So at least has one thing going for it. So that's just 4 times Fire Bombs, which are actually really good this week, given that the objective is to kill a bunch of reds. However, I want to test the team, so I don't really want to run this against it. Well, I guess since it gives double trade stone, why not? But we'll run this team twice. We'll be testing this thing a lot more into the week. Feels like it has decent amount of potential, since it's basically a skatey, but also gives you mana. So just in that regard alone, it's probably going to be quite amazing. It might be a little bit weird kind of using this with something that needs red. However, my concept was that would be that we could just use those reds to then go all the way into the... oh, I made a mistake with this team then, didn't I? Wait. I was going to use Jar of Eyes earlier, but I made a grave mistake with this team. You cannot stack... Well, I guess for the actual battle, we'll go use Jar of Eyes then. You cannot use this weapon with a troop that converts away reds, because that thing needs those reds to actually kill with. So that's a fail. Like, having Yagwe there is fine. Having this weapon is not. It is not going to help us in this situation. Oh, I say that, but actually we could go do that right here. But in most situations, it's just going to take away all of our reds. So we'll let him end his turn. Actually, at this point, one of the reasons I'm actually using Toloka here, one of the reasons why I said Toloka would be good, is you cast this, you get mana into him, and you get your Storm. And Toloka is dependent on Storm in order to do triple damage. And it's probably one of the easier ways that you'd be able to go and get the Storm up, which would be pretty nice for it. But anyways, let me go test this the correct way, the original way I was going to do the team before I changed it last minute. Let's go put a Jar of Eyes there and go from there. And there we go, we got a real team, kind of. What on earth is that team? Let's see. Also, who on earth owns 2 Xenoses? I wonder if anyone has 3 Zugofs yet. But anyways, it's going to be hard to type with this thing. Is it even on? Let's see. Jar of Eyes, where are you? Let's see. Keyboard work. There we go. Barely. Jar. Let's go with that. Go in the weapon. Go in there. Okay, let's go do this now. Should I go +1/+1? No, we'll keep it as is. +2 blue. Go all into it. Just get a nice explosion off of that right after the start. The Jar of Eyes also does perpetual blue storm as well, so we're easily going to maintain that for the entirety of the battle. Got to get used to the fact that we can actually convert red to blue now. That is not a color I'm used to converting. Let's see. We'll get that one over just because it's full Toloka, which I'll probably throw down immediately just because of how much damage it is. Then we can go and clear them out with a Jar of Eyes to get our mana going. That'll also give us another blue storm refresh. And we're basically just going to perpetually have a blue storm. The only problem with that is, unlike Jar of Eyes, it does not create the color that it explodes. If this thing exploded all blues, it would definitely be going places. Unfortunately, it does not. However, we do have alignment on that, so we'll go for that. Get another Toloka up. Looks like Yagwe won't be coming in, but obviously we can cast Yagwe. That'll give a bunch of reds onto the board, and then we kind of work from there. It'll also do a lot of damage so that our split from Toloka can actually clean, which we might be able to do right here. I don't think we have a drop, however... Oh, never mind. Wait, you're not silenced. I was going to say, he's silenced. Nope, he just doesn't have enough mana. But we'll go for that. Get a explosion there. What is silenced is our mana generator that we're just using, but oh well, as long as something gets full mana here. Toloko, you were not the one I actually wanted to have full, but oh well, that's enough to kill. And there we go. And if we need more damage, it does do 10 damage per extra turn, so we could take a nap for 10 damage, the other one for 10 damage. And hey, something good for Toloko for once. Toloko's one of those kind of legends that it seems like it could potentially have potential. It just needed the right combos. And this new epic that ended up coming into the game is one of those things that could finally put together his combo. This is probably not the most optimal option for him, but it does seem like it's in the right direction. But yeah, something with Daughter of Ice into Toloka does seem like it's going to be a pretty solid option. I currently don't actually have a second Toloka because I ended up upgrading him, so now I only have one. But even double Toloka and like something else first slot could potentially be one of the best combos for it. Just to get the Daughter of Ice into a bunch of 20 damage per extra turn spam, and then you have the Storm to just keep doing triple damages, which basically makes it like a little mini Romaine or mini Sunbird and stuff like that, and has a relatively low mana cost. Well, actually no, it's a little bit towards the higher side for no mana generation, but still, you end up getting so much mana from the convert that it shouldn't be too big a deal, especially if you set your banner to double blue. It's going to get up a lot quicker. But anyways, guys, I believe that covers most everything. If you still have anything else to mention, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. And again, as I mentioned, I won't be getting back until later this Friday. I will cover the new Mythic and new faction and all that after that. So it probably won't be until later towards Friday night or so. And other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Videos will be rolling out the next few days at around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And if the patch comes out, or I should say when the patch comes out, I'll be going over the patch notes with it and all that good stuff. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Goodbye, everyone!